Thanks once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon at the Phantom Tollbooth Cornerstone 2008 press tent. Fresh off their big gig just down the road.
Can't hear you.
Let me see if I can put myself in the monitor. Can you hear me now? That's a little better.
Yeah, there we go.
I've been trying to avoid the feedback thing, which has been going on all day because of volume, and you guys were loud, so. Seabird from the greater Cincinnati, northern Kentucky area. Is that a good enough locale to refer to you as being from?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, okay. Greater Cincinnati, northern Kentucky.
No confusion there.
Yes, exactly. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. First of all, from left to right, go down the line, give us your name, and what function you perform in the band, if any.
My name is Todd Bowman. I'm playing drums.
My name is Chris Kubrick. I do bass and background vocals.
I'm Aaron Morgan. I play piano and sing.
Brian Morgan, guitar, background vocals.
Tell us about Seabird. Where did you guys? How did you guys get your start? I understand there's a little bit of a history there.
Yeah, I certainly never thought that I would ever be in a band. It's not something that I dreamed of doing, but a friend of mine, I guess, had heard some of my songs that I thought I was playing for myself, but I guess he was listening from another room, and approached me about, practicing in his basement. So we started doing that. It was him on guitar and me on piano, and it sounded awful. So he switched to drums, and that made it a little bit better. And then somehow he convinced me to join this Battle of the Bands competition that lasted for like 4.5 months or something like that, against 23 of Cincinnati's best bands. So the first time that we ever played on stage was in a huge competition. We were thinking Battle of the Bands like one night, we'll play a show one night and that'll be it. But they're like, no, it's like a 4-month competition. So that was kind of how we got our start. And then from there, when we started getting positive feedback about the music, we thought, well, maybe we should continue at this. And it was probably about a year after that, year and a half maybe, that we were showcasing with EMI in Nashville, and just shortly after that was signed with Credential Recordings, which is an EMI label.
Okay, I made reference to the lineage, the history of the band. Tell us a little bit about father-son, will you?
That's old school. A friend of mine started a band with my dad and his dad, and we decided it would be a good idea to call him father-son. Played around Cincinnati a lot. We traveled a little bit. Eventually had this guy join the band playing keyboards, but that was my idea. The other guys in the band weren't into it, so we kind of kept it low all the time. We, if it was even plugged in, and we wouldn't let him sing either because we didn't think he had a very good voice. So it's kind of turned it around though a little bit.
A friend of mine was walking by the gallery stage and heard your sound coming out. Liked it, stepped inside, suggested you sounded a little bit like Not a Surf. Tell us a little bit about your influences.
Growing up, both of our parents were big British rock fans. My mom was part of Beatlemania. My dad was a big Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd guy. So we kind of grew up listening to those types of bands, and I really draw from a great voice, like a memorable voice, like Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Robert Plant, Bono, something that's just immediately grabs you, and the melodies are just haunting and unforgettable. So any band that it would immediately capture you by some sort of a melody or a hook or something like that, and the vocal just kind of takes you on some sort of a journey, was all the kind of bands that I grew up listening to. The Beatles were probably my all-time favorite band. Nobody's really come close to what they've done. So.
You suggested that your mother was all a part of Beatlemania. Did she happen to catch the Beatles at the Cincinnati Gardens back in 1964?
I think that she did. She doesn't talk about it much because she's a church lady now, but I think that she might have been there.
I think she burnt all her Beatles records at church camp one year. So
yeah, when they made the comment about being bigger than Jesus, I think that's when she started burning her Beatles records. But she still loves them in her heart.
Well, maybe they knew how tall he was, and never mind. Tell us about the album.
Chris.
Okay, the album. It took a while, and it was definitely a process to getting it done. We didn't really know how do a record at all. We're like just like babies at this. So we just went into it really open-minded, and we presented our stuff to quite a few producers, and one of them that we had the opportunity to give it to is Jakir King, and we had to pass on it initially because the budget wasn't there, but he called us back, and actually called our manager back, and said that, you know, he had a hard time like getting the songs out of his head, and they were waking him up in his sleep, and he offered us, you know, a lower way to do it, and so we thought it was, you know, our ticket. So we were all over it, and we were at Jakir's place for 5 weeks, and in his house, which was like the first thing he'd done in his house, I think. But it went well. We got a lot of, we tried doing it all live, and we realized that takes way too long. So
musicians.
Yeah, we're not very skilled musicians. So after 5 weeks, we ended up with not enough material to, you know, like make a record. So he sent us home and told us to do our homework and try to work on it at home without him, and that really wasn't what we wanted since we were still infants at the whole thing. So we decided to go with Alan Salmon after that. He'd done some work with Mute Math and
Beautiful Republic.
Yeah.
Sanctus Rio.
Yep. And
Undeserving.
Yep. And so he finished it out in, what was it, 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3.5 weeks. And it was like the most, it was such a relief. He did an amazing job. Like, really, yeah, he's such a talented guy. So that's how it came.
Give us the title of the album. I know I have a copy, but I want you guys to tell us.
It's called Till We See the Shore.
And did you have a reason for the name? And I want to know why Seabird, from northern Kentucky. Why Seabird?
Seabird comes from a fascination of all things aquatic, particularly sea turtles and penguins. To me, they were both kind of outcasts of their species on dry land. They're both kind of vulnerable and slow, but then when you put them in the water, they just really come to life, and they literally fly through the water, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. So to me, they were both seabirds, or birds of the sea. The title of the album, Till We See the Shore, is basically a representation of the message that kind of is spun throughout the entire record. All of the songs have some sort of redemptive quality to them, or some sort of message of hope that there's something worth fighting for, or there's someone around to help keep our heads above water. And the song Till We See the Shore, the title track, you know, we knew it wasn't a single, but we felt like the message of that song particularly was a good representation of the entire album. Basically, we just kind of pictured a ship, you know, and their crew basically at the point of defeat, almost total defeat. Their ship was about to be wrecked by a storm, and they just kind of, you know, determined that they were going to fight for their lives. You know, they all wanted to see their wives and kids again someday, so they just said, if we don't do this, you know, we're gonna lose our lives. So we have to keep fighting. We have to keep singing until we see the shore, until we know that we're safe, and that's kind of the message of the record.
We are accepting questions from the audience. If anybody would like to step back to where I'm at, I'll be happy to hand the microphone over to you, so please don't hesitate. In the meantime, guys, what do you see yourselves doing in the immediate future? Are you touring? If so, with who?
We are touring, not with a specific band right now. We're not headlining either. We're just playing festivals right now. I think we have a couple of weeks off, and then we head west. We're doing Denver, Salt Lake. We got 4 shows in Washington State, including a couple of festivals, Creation West. Then we're playing the Knitting Factory in Hollywood, hitting somewhere in Arizona on our way back, and probably a lot of radio stations along the way. So that'll keep us really busy. We're still trying to fill some spots in there to, you know, to fill the time up a little bit more. And we're booked. We have shows booked all the way through October right now, so, and festival, you know, season is huge right now, so the rest of the summer all the way through September, lots of festivals.
We do have a question from the audience.
I'd like to know whether you prefer Skyline or Dixie Chili.
Skyline, hands down.
Skyline.
There is no other.
Any Gold Star guys up there?
There is no other. Skyline.
We take Gold Star's used vegetable oil. They have good, clean used vegetable oil that we run our bus on, but not huge fans of their food.
I'm surprised they use vegetable oil.
I know, I guess they do fries now, so good clean oil.
Good question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Really, really good question. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, here we have a couple of others.
Do you have a MySpace.com?
We do have a MySpace.com. It's just /Seabird, Seabird.
If I add you, will you add me?
Of course we will.
And where did you guys all go to high school?
Ty?
I went to Taylor High School on the west side of Cincinnati. Very small school.
I went to Calvary Christian School in Taylor Mill.
Ryan and I were both homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through high school. No joke.
Is it true the west side's the best side?
No.
No, east side, east side.
Okay, they insist the east side.
It's true.
And they have you outnumbered, although you are bigger, so.
Yeah.
Any other
Very
questions
dangerous.
from the audience? Guys, I'm amazed with the album. I loved it.
Thank you.
First time I heard it, I've seen you live before. I regret that I was stuck here and couldn't catch your set today. But we're looking forward to bigger and better things from you, and we'll certainly be following your careers. And I believe we have another question.
Are there any artists that you respect so much that you have recently covered their work?
We've never played any covers. It's not a matter of respect. That's an interesting point of view. We respect many artists, and we have a lot to learn from, artists that are going before us, and always love to soak up anything we can learn from guys that want to, spend time talking to us. But we've never played any covers, so good question.
Any other questions? We're looking forward to wonderful and great things out of these guys from the greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. Seabird, ladies and gentlemen. Check them out.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in the exhibition 310 as well. That's where we'll be.
Buy the new album.